Rain poured heavily, drumming against Jamie's car as he drove down an empty road. The storm had been relentless for hours, and the pounding rain made it hard to see. Tired and desperate for rest, Jamie hoped to find shelter from the unforgiving weather. Through the blur of the storm, a flickering neon sign appeared. Motel. The letters buzzed faintly, casting strange shadows across the cracked parking lot. Jamie pulled in, hesitating as the car engine went silent. The place felt off, too quiet, too empty. Grabbing his bag, Jamie stepped out into the cold rain, heading toward the creaking door that seemed to open on its own. He didn't know it yet, but something was waiting inside. Inside the motel, it felt cold and empty, the air heavy with an unspoken tension. The receptionist stood behind a dusty desk, her smile stretched too wide, too still, like it was painted on, her glassy eyes never blinking. It didn't feel friendly. It felt wrong, as if she was waiting for something. As Jamie approached, she silently handed him an old, worn ledger. Her fingers grazed his briefly, sending a chill through him. Without a word, she slid a key across the counter, its brass number, 13, glinting in the dim light. The flickering lights overhead buzzed faintly, casting long, uneasy shadows that seemed to shift when Jamie wasn't looking. Jamie entered the room, grateful to escape the storm, but the unsettling atmosphere followed. The room was dim, with peeling wallpaper and a single bedside lamp casting soft shadows. Jamie approached the large mirror on the wall and paused. As he looked into it, he noticed something unsettling. His reflection didn't quite match his movements. It was slow, delayed, almost as if something else was standing in his place. A cold shiver ran down Jamie's spine as strange, fleeting shadows danced behind him in the glass. The room seemed to pulse with an invisible presence, something hidden, something waiting. As the night deepened, the motel seemed to come alive with soft whispers echoing down the narrow hallways. At first, the sound was barely a murmur, but soon it grew louder, as if calling to Jamie. Hesitant, he stepped into the hallway, the old floor creaking under his weight. The walls were lined with faded photographs of smiling families, their faces now warped and distorted, as though time had twisted them. The whispers grew more urgent, warning of the motel's dark past, vanished guests and lingering souls. Despite the chill creeping up his spine, Jamie couldn't shake the pull of curiosity, urging him to go deeper into the mystery. The temperature dropped, and the hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. Each step felt heavier, as though the air itself was thickening around him. The whispers swirled, growing louder, almost reaching out to him, urging him forward. The room had grown colder, the flickering light casting shadows that seemed to shift with a life of their own. Jamie stood before the mirror again, but this time his reflection was no longer his own. It moved independently, its twisted hands reaching out through the glass, pulling at him. In the doorway, the receptionist appeared, her smile grotesque and her eyes hollow. She was no longer the friendly face from earlier. She was something much worse. Her voice, low and sinister, whispered, "You shouldn't have stayed." Jamie's body trembled as he struggled to break free from the mirror's grasp, but the cursed motel had already claimed him. His reflection's hands tightened around his throat, pulling him in as the shadows in the room darkened. With one final, desperate cry, Jamie was pulled into the glass, his face vanishing into the reflection. The motel fell silent, save for the faint echo of his scream, now a permanent part of its haunted legacy. The curse had found its new soul, and there was no escape for Jamie.